وشمال بحر الغزال، غرب والاستوائية الوسطى، جونغلي، أعالي النيل وواراب. من خلال التعاون مع آي راديو يمكنك التواصل مع المجتمعات المتنوعة والجماهير المستهدفة في المناطق ديل.
مشاركة المجتمع. الشراكة مع آي راديو بتعني التعامل مع مجتمعات على مستوى الشعبي. رسالتك حتوصل للمستمعين في مواقع مختلف، مما يعزز التفاعلات الهاتفة ويزيد الوعي بعلامة تجارية.
التغطية الشاملة مع محطات في مواقع استراتيجية زي الرنج، ملكال وباليت. بتوفر آي راديو تغطية شاملة بتصل إلى كل من المراكز الحضرية والمناطق الريفية. بتضمن شراكتك مع آي راديو الرؤية عبر منطقة جغرافية واسعة.
ما تفوت فرصة توسيع نطاق رسالتك باستخدام آي راديو. شارك أو أعلن معنا الليلة وخلي صوتك مسموع في جميع أنحاء جنوب السودان.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on I Radio with me, Madrama James, and this show comes to you Monday to Friday. Now, in this special program, as part of the commemoration of the World Press Freedom Day 2025, today we are joined live in the studio by two remarkable figures in South Sudan media landscape to explore how the introduction of new tools like the artificial intelligence known as AI and challenges facing the media industry in the country. The international theme for this year is reporting in a brave new world the impact of artificial intelligence on press freedom and the media. With me in the studio, I'm blessed to be joined by Poverty Alfred Taban, who is the technical advisor and co-founder of that National Press Club South Sudan. National Press Club South Sudan is a non-profit and non-governmental organization serving as a platform where both the local and international journalists operating in South Sudan gather. And I'm also thrilled to be joined by Aya Irene, a South Sudanese journalist serving as the director of the Association for Media Development in South Sudan. AMDIS is a non-for-profit member-based organization founded in 2003 by South Sudanese senior journalists to advocate and address the need to improve the capacity of local journalists to respond to the crucial issues of human rights and governance. Welcome all in the studio this evening.
Thank you, James.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, let's have a quick break. When we come back, that's when officially we shall kickstart the show. I remain your host, Madrama James.
Basma le Radio Hagiga. I Radio. En Takum fi Junub Sudan.
Well, welcome back from the break. To kickstart with, Mr. Taban, you have witnessed the evolution of that media in South Sudan from its earlier days. Now, how does this year's team really resonate with someone like you? Welcome on board.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this and this important question. And this year's theme actually is a wise connection to the current situation in the Republic of South Sudan and how citizens access information in diversity within the country. And with the look of things and then also seeing at AI's presence, I think this has really caught my attention. And I believe all are actually in the loop, though gradually in other locations we can still diversify the information that have not been got by others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayam. Being a South Sudanese journalist serving as the director of the Association for Media Development in South Sudan, what are some of your findings in regards to the media landscape in South Sudan? Do we still have that enough access to information, and at the same time there is a freedom of expression, or what are some of your findings lately?
Thank you so much, James. My understanding of the media landscape in South Sudan is that it is still characterized by a lot of challenges. One thing that you just mentioned is the issue of access to information. Now, if you ask every journalist who always go to the field to interview people and gather information for a broadcast media house like this, then they will tell you how hard it is to access information. First of all, the issue of timely information. Sometimes something has happened today, but for you to get to verify the information, you may, because now we have social media, you may see a lot of rumors on social media and you want to verify. And then you will, of course, go to official sources of information. And then for you to get that information, it will take days. And sometimes you may not even get it. You may just remain with the rumors that you have got from people or on social media. So another thing is also accurate information. You know, there is timely, accurate, and reliable information. Sometimes you get information, but it is not accurate. Official source may give you an half-baked information, which is not actually complete, or just something that is not really the details of the information. So, and you find that with now social media, people actually get information, and then it comes to the public domain on social media. And then journalists are on pressure because people will see information on social media and then they don't see it coming from the mainstream media. Sometimes I see even people, the public, blame journalists for not providing timely information. But it is because of the issue with access to information. And now if you link access to information to freedom of expression, this is also where the problem comes from. Somebody may have the information, but they fear to give journalists because they fear after speaking out what will happen. Oh, am I the right person to disclose this information? So you find that you go even to some people holding offices and you want to talk to them, they don't open it up to you because they fear. They may tell you, I'm not the right person to give this information. Okay, you wait, let me first cross-check with my office. Let me cross-check on the ground and all this. And time is going for us journalists and also in media generally. You have deadlines to beat and people are out there waiting. And moreover, people have the right to know. And this is why the role of media is very important, because we need to serve people with the information. But those challenges are there. Now, freedom of expression for the public, because when we talk about freedom of expression, it is not only about journalists. In the Constitution, everybody or everyone has the right to freedom of expression. But this freedom also comes with restriction and responsibility. Now, for journalists also, we have our rights to freedom of expression is not absolute. Or sometimes you report something and somebody said it, because most cases our work is to report what people have already said. And then sometimes we take responsibility for, you have ever seen a journalist who is arrested or beaten because so-and-so said something and they reported. So that punishment which is supposed to be given to that person who has spoken something is transferred either to the individual journalist or to the media house. Sometimes you report something as a media house, and then you face shutdown, or you face actually even warning or punishment, or you have to pay some kind of penalties for reporting what you have reported. So those are some of the challenges that we still have with freedom of expression, and which I want to connect it with media censorship. Be it self-censorship. Self-censorship is a situation where either journalists or media houses tend to self-censor themselves. Instead of doing their duty, they fear maybe for their life. Like, if I run this story, I may be arrested. If I run this story, I may be killed. The media house will fear that if I publish this story, I may shut down, or I may be forced to shut down, or I may be forced to pay penalties. So censorship is there, both self-censored and authoritarian censorship.
All right. Thank you so much, Aya. Now over to you, Taban, as someone who is the co-founder of National Press Club. After getting all the informations from Aya, how the media landscape look in the country, what do you think should be really some of the best strategies to improve on what the journalists and the media houses are facing in the country?
Yeah, thank you so much. In connection to what my colleague just mentioned, this is really a critical situation that freedom of expression is absolute and is a fundamental right as is stipulated in our legal policies of our country. And of course, the birth to the media laws of the Republic of South Sudan actually came from the Constitution, the transitional Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan as amended. So most of the articles, there are 2 or 3 articles that actually allow us to operate and then to disseminate information. Though freedom of expression is not absolute, but all of us have the right to access and disseminate information to each other. And considering the current move and then the theme, it is actually in line with what the National Press Club South Sudan is also doing. And that is like enabling the working environment for media and journalism in the country. So far, it's a joint effort. It's like in a family, if you have your father and your children are there, you don't allow your children to speak out of what they have seen that you haven't seen, it becomes challenging for you to know what exactly could be the problem. And then it becomes difficult, even your strategies to employ your strategies rightly, it becomes very challenging. So now at the moment, as per my colleague mentioned, the challenges that exist regarding freedom of expression and access to information in the Republic of South Sudan, we notice that there's that trend of mistrust, which is like sometimes now national journalists are mistrusted. Okay, when they are to interview an official from a certain office compared to international journalists, for instance. If an international journalist comes to South Sudan, they will access more information than we do as fellow South Sudanese because of mistrust. And that might be related to misperceptions that might be existing in the communities and the different offices that exist. Because sometimes journalists are misperceived. The reasons of why they are actually misperceived, it can be dependent on who is actually thinking about that. Sometimes they're even considered to be spy, okay? Getting information and sharing it with the globe and then trying to tarnish the image of the country. But of course, when you go to social media at the moment, okay, and that comes to the point of AI, artificial intelligence, where people, the moment they go and search about somebody, the information they get is massive, but then it is not properly edited. And then what happens in the end? It sometimes contradicts the professionalism of a journalist. And a journalist is a professional trained on ethics and code of conduct that have to be abided by. The media authority, as a regulatory body, have printed all that and have distributed that. So all professional journalists can be misperceived because of any content that is shared on social media. And then they are misunderstood and mistrusted of what information they share. But of course, anyone that posts any information on social media is not an ethical journalist in any way. It's like any citizen that comes from the house, even from just waking up from sleep and then start, after witnessing something, immediately writes anything. But a professional journalist goes down into analyzing according to the guidelines and the principles of journalism That is happening at the moment.
Now, Mr. Taban, with the introduction of the artificial intelligence, which is AI, what safeguards should media houses and journalists here adapt to ensure artificial intelligence does not really contribute to the issues of that misinformation or disinformation in the country?
This is a very crucial moment at the moment, because sometimes to catch up with the deadline of time as journalists, we have deadlines to meet. For instance, you have a news at before we arrived here, 4 sharp, we need to have the headlines going, the news headlines going on air. But of course, having content also shared with the editor and the pressures from the editor, it's these challenges at the moment. What I can just mention is most media houses have ethical guidelines or editorial policies. So most of the work done by media houses are actually best professionally done through the editorial guidelines that are embedded within the media house. So the presence of artificial intelligence somehow could contradict, but of course when these media houses stick to these guidelines, much of what they find from the AI might still be countered, because they have to cross-check the information they get. And normally journalists have to record sources of information. After recording, even if you put it for artificial intelligence or AI in order to generate automatic information for you, you still have to look through it. Have it captured exactly the thing that you recorded? Because what you captured or you recorded might be contrary to what they have generated. So what check and balance is the most important thing. And of course, in journalism, this is the most important thing in order to fact check the information you share with the public or the audience.
All right, over to you, Director Ayam. And looking at what Mr. Poverty Taban Alfred have just mentioned, now what step can institution like AMDIS take to educate journalists on that's the opportunities available? I'm talking about artificial intelligence here.
Yeah, thank you so much. One thing that AMDIS, an institution like AMDIS can do is to train journalists and create awareness generally about AI. I know AI is a new thing, especially to South Sudan, but we have actually been using AI. AI is a computerized program that performs several duties. For example, it can translate, it can also edit, and some of us, we have been using it for editing, some of our work. But then you need to also, first of all, AI cannot go to the field. For example, for us, our work as media, you go to the field, you cover news, and you come back and then start editing and producing it. So AI will not go to the field to cover news. So it is you, the journalist, to go to the field. And then now, AI is to actually enhance your work in terms of making it maybe assisting you to get some of the information that you do not get, and also editing, helping you to edit. You can use it in many ways, editing photos, editing videos, and even text. So so we need to embrace AI as a program that has come to enhance our work. But then we need to understand we don't need to abandon our work to AI, and we do not also need to trust AI entirely. Some people will just trust AI and generate all their information from AI, because our context is for example, if the report is about a place in South Sudan, AI will not actually know exactly that the name of that place and the name of the people there. So it is you to come with factual information, and then AI will now help you to enhance your work. So journalists need training on AI. We also need to create awareness to the public about AI, because I've seen now what AI is doing currently. You see some photos translated into videos by AI, where one time I saw two of our leaders, like they are fighting in a video. So to explain this to an ordinary person that this video is actually not true, it is AI,
Generated.
AI generated, it will take time for them to really understand. They will just see and believe it is true. So this is now the kind of misinformation that is now coming to South Sudan. You see, people are on social media, and young people can even, download those videos and show to their family members. But the way those family members understand it is the way the videos are. They don't know that it is actually generated by AI. So we have a lot of work to do to actually create awareness to the people, and especially journalists, to be able to use AI in a way that it should only enhance their work, but should not abandon their work entirely to AI.
Well, after talking about the technological advancement which is in place currently, and at the same time the nature of media landscape, briefly, Taban, let's talk about with the funding cut, what are some of the challenges the media industry is facing, and in particular, as a co-founder of National Press Club, what are some of the challenges on ground?
Yeah, this is very crucial question, and it is really affecting the media industry in the Republic of South Sudan at the moment. Not only media industry as such, but of course, national and international organizations that are working in South Sudan have been really hardly beat by this funding cut. And right now, regarding media, some media houses are struggling in order to get some funding, in order to continue implementing activities. For example, we are talking about the role of journalists in a country like the Republic of South Sudan. What are they doing in order to ensure that they're able to even the awareness? How can we create the awareness? We need enough airtime, for instance, to disseminate information that the public requires. And then even about AI, if it comes to dissemination of information, we need power so that the radios or the media houses continue working. And then if there is no fuel or there is no funding, that is another problem. And that at some point in South Sudan is, if I can say now, is mostly dominated by radio stations at the moment. And most of them are based in Juba. And the only biggest challenge that I've noticed, newspapers are even the number of papers they are printing is not compared to the past. The number is lower. And somehow other media houses have even shut down because of funding. Okay? And now others have even reduced the number of staff that they have within the media houses. And that is related to the funding that they have at hand. And similarly, who knows, maybe soon in the coming weeks or months, some of them will even shut down or reduce. And that is a challenge to most of the staff of media houses actually floating on the street, which are jobless. And then what happens in the end? Even their own families are even affected. So this affects actually dissemination of information and even citizen access to information timely. It is affected because of resources.
All right. And now over to that Director Yam. What advocacy or measures do you believe that are really necessary can be employed to overcome some of the challenges Taban have so far mentioned?
One thing, as South Sudanese national institution, especially those working in the media sector, we need to embrace collaboration. We need to embrace collaboration because I know with this funding cut, some of the institutions may not, first of all, we are downsizing staff. So the capacity of performance is going to slow down. Secondly, of course, lack of funding. And moreover, we have institutions that have specific mandate. For example, AMDIS has a mandate for training journalists and doing advocacy at the higher level. So if AMDIS is no longer active because of the issue of funding, then that role for training journalists is going to go down, which is going to affect the media development in South Sudan. But if we collaborate, like we support one another, whatever resources that we are going to have, I think we are going to make it. Because the issue is not to shut down the existing institution that we already have. The issue is to look for a way forward. How can we move forward, despite the fact that the funding is cut? How can we move forward as institution? So I think collaboration will be one of them, and yes, and of course also kind of initiating programs that can generate resources locally is another one, because even if we now...
What are those projects, for example?
Okay, for example, let me give a typical example for us, what we are now doing currently at AMDIS. We decided to establish a cafeteria which provide food, and we sell it to, people outside. People come and eat lunch at our place. We also do outside catering. So those are some of the kind of initiative that we can have. So I also encourage other media houses to open even companies, so that you are able to raise income locally through business to support the media. And also I encourage government to come in and support the media. And why not? People may ask question, if government come to support media, is the media still going to be independent? I will say yes, the media should continue to be independent, even if they are going to receive support from government. We have been receiving support from foreign agencies. And have we not been independent? Have we been dancing to the tune of those who support us? So why do we receive support from foreign agencies, and we fear to receive support from our government? So I think this time around, I've not seen government coming in to support like training of journalists. I think that is really very important. If they cannot support advocacy work, I think they should support training of journalists, because if South Sudan is to conduct election in, I don't know, maybe next year, or maybe, anyway, at the end of it, South Sudan will have to conduct election. So to prepare journalists and media houses for the election, it needs a lot of training. So is the government going to support media in terms of supporting training, initiative of journalists? I think that is also very important. We have institutions like Nile Pet. Those are institutions that can actually have some kind of support for the media.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Over to you, Ms. Taban. In a situation where funding becomes an issue, then definitely it will also affect the delivery of services within the media industry. Now, in such a difficult situation, how would you advise the journalists to keep doing their work without compromising? Because nowadays we have issues of TR, brown envelope, bribes, and other things. But how can they really keep doing the work without being bribed?
Yeah, thank you. This question is very critical, because nobody will say no to money when you don't have it. And what you have to put in mind as a professional journalist is, you have a passion and you have a profession, you have a career, and you have a responsibility to deliver information. And the information you deliver, remember, if you are bribed, the content will be compromised. So I still advise journalists that you are called, is a call. Journalism is a call. So your passion should not be lost by that brown envelope.
But at the end of the day, someone will say you cannot eat your passion or the ethics. At the end of the day, you want something on the table.
Yeah, yeah, that is possible. Yeah, that explanation may arise. But of course, ethically, you still have to stick, because, like, a journalist have to stick to really, we have the 5 W's plus H, okay? And then whatever you write should be related to that. And then we have also the code of conduct and ethics that is guiding your work. I know, because of what my colleague mentioned about self-censorship, you can censor yourself, because, like, okay, for instance, if I publish something which is against the person, and the person have bribed me, I may have trouble with the person outside. What is important is think of ethically doing your work, your job, and explain to the person who is giving you the money. You by then you need to ask, is that a bribe or what is it? Others say, no, it's just like for you to facilitate your transport. Yes, this is common. They can say that. But later on, they will come for accountability. Some of them are even funny. As they give it to you, they will take a picture and they will use that against you. So be keen of whatever you take and think of still sticking to your profession. I know it's difficult and I know it's really hard, okay? Where some media houses will even be cutting down the cost of paying per article. You are just paid per article you publish. But now that even the amount is reduced, it will also affect your sustainability as a media professional. So what is important? Stick to the profession, whatever case comes. That is the only advice I have. About the brown envelope, ethically, this is a violation of your work as a journalist.
All right. Now, it's still on a welfare issue. AMDIS is an advocacy center. Now, recently, South Sudan have lost 3 great journalists due to liver health, heart and kidney complications. Now, what is the institution doing to make sure that these policies or health insurances and some of these journalists are protected, or there are also policies that make sure that their lives as they work in this particular environment, it's also, granted, Madam Irene?
Yeah, I first want to add my view to the brown envelope. What I see in South Sudan here is really not the brown envelope. If you compare our situation in South Sudan, the situation of journalists in South Sudan, how much they are getting in their media houses as salaries, or whether they are facilitated to go to the field and cover news, you really see that most of the journalists are really not doing well. They are not earning, I can say. So if a journalist go to the field and they receive maybe transport refund, or they request for a car to drop them, or they request for what some media houses are doing, they just leave you to do your work as a journalist. No facilitation, they don't give you anything. And then you expect that journalists to refuse facilitation. That cannot happen because we are human beings as journalists, and you cannot expect a journalist to be credible working on an empty stomach. So this one is, we just need to see it as human, that it is not easy. So yeah, some journalists who are a bit earning something small that can be able to sustain themselves, they have that kind of abstaining from receiving those kind of envelope. But what I see in South Sudan, I don't know how many journalists are being brave, but I see that the situation is really not good, and I don't call whatever they are given as bribe. In terms of now the unfortunate passing of our colleagues due to liver cancer and all that, I see that this is really, really bad. We have just started noticing that really journalists need attention in terms of their health, because I see they do a lot of work free of charge. They are not being paid. And of course, we always say that we are ready to volunteer, But this person who is volunteering, remember, he has himself or herself to take care of. He has his family. He is a human being. So this is why you see our colleagues have died for treatable diseases. Those illnesses can be treated really. But because they did not really have resources like money to treat themselves, this is why we have seen now. And there are other journalists who have died before, which we did not actually pay much attention about what caused their death. So I see that we as media, as stakeholders, we need to come up and see and improve the situation of journalists. I speak from the perspective of AMDIS because we are an umbrella for media houses. Our members are actually media owners, those who own the media houses or those who manages the media houses. So we are like employers for journalists. We employ journalists. Like iRadio is one of our members. And so now for us to say that let's put pressure on a media house, which is actually also getting nothing. And sometimes even to think that you will operate for 8 hours in a day, it's really sometimes unbelievable because you don't have also resources to run the media house. And I think the last thing media houses always have is to pay journalists because they have other bills to pay, like, utility bills, operational costs and all that. So media houses are also really surviving in a very hard time. And so this is why you see journalists who work for those media houses sometimes go without pay for 3 months. And we don't talk about it. Journalists just keep quiet. But the situation is really terrible. Now we have been having engagement with the Union of Journalists because, of course, AMDIS is an employer of journalists, and then the Union of Journalists takes care of welfare of journalists. Yeah, so we are in discussion on what should we exactly do. Yesterday we had a meeting about establishing SACCO for journalists where they can be doing saving and all that. And so that when they have issues like medical issues and any emergency in their families, they can come and borrow money from that SACCO. But also there is a plan now to kind of establish medical insurance for journalists. But also that one will go back to journalists to kind of come together and contribute money so that can be acquired, because recently, as you know, we don't have funding currently that can support. But also, nevertheless, we are also looking for funding. If we could get any support that can come directly for journalist welfare, journalist safety, I think that one will be very, very important. But of course, we are kind of looking for support, but also trying to do our own local initiative, local arrangement where we can at least have medical insurance for journalists, but that should come from contribution also from journalists, which I also see that it is going to be challenging because you are asking a journalist to contribute, and this journalist that does not even have money because they don't earn any much. Yeah, so this is where I see a challenge. But nevertheless, at least there is a discussion going on.
Mr. Taban, really, how can the stakeholders, media stakeholders, come together to rescue lives of journalists? Because we can't really afford to keep on losing some of these potential talents in the country just in the names of, health-related issues that, like Madam Irene put it, some of the disease can be really treated. What's your take?
It is a concerning situation and very alarming in the media industry at the moment. What I know at the moment is it's really sometimes very difficult to predict who is with what, because the level of stress among journalists is what led sometimes to this kind of diseases. And where is the stress coming? It is coming because of the low pay. Journalists are rich and they are popular because of they are known. Okay? They're rich in the number of people that know them. Okay? But then financially they are poor. They look rich when they move. This is so and so who is the speaking on iRadio or on this media house. Or your name is all over, your stories are there. But financially you are not okay. And then at home the family needs you. You always go every morning to deliver, but when you come back nothing is happening. Now at the moment, what I also would ask is, you as individual journalists, you need to take care of yourself. Because your own health starts by you, not an institution. The institution will come in, but you yourself. Okay? Because sometimes if you don't start taking care of yourself, then it will be difficult for someone to intervene. So you have to start by yourself. And most times, this is coming because of over-dependence that we have in the Republic of South Sudan and even beyond in Africa. There are people, the moment you start speaking, they thought you have all the monies and they will be coming to depend on you. Now, in the end of the month, they will be budgeting in your pocket, not knowing how much you even get. So the moment the month ends, what you have as a journalist, you end up giving it out all, forgetting that you have other needs that are vital, like your health, to take care of. So you need to reverse. Think back. Think of yourself. Where are you? How do you get to be someone else? Your health is worthy. It's you that you have to start thinking of before you start about the other person. I know there are vital issues. It's good. We are good in planning when we are broke. But the moment we get money, there are emergency issues that will arise, and then you don't prioritize your health more. And that is where we go wrong as media people.
All right.
And this is also affecting every citizen in any working environment.
16 minutes to the top of the hour. And at this main point of time, if you have a question to Poverty Alfred Taban or Aya Irene from that Association for Media Development in South Sudan, reach us on 0911022986. You can also drop in your comment. That's via our Facebook page. And we have a couple of them. We have Bol Mayani saying, hello, Madrama James Lino. Good evening to you and your guests there. I'm happy that we are at the verge of celebrating the World Press Freedom Day. But to him, that there's no freedom of speech and expression in South Sudan. Witty Master is saying, my questions are, how is an institution like AMDIS going to convince the government to ensure that there is a freedom of expression and speech? Then what would be your advice, Taban, to the upcoming journalists on the usage of that media without victimizing the other community? First, let me take this caller. I read you.
My brother James.
Yes.
You are speaking to Simple Man.
Simple Man, good to have you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, my brother, this day is a special day for journalists, a special voice of voiceless. And the only challenges we have heard from our brother, you have to be unknown everywhere, but you have nothing at the end of the day. So we have to, if you are helping the people, then we should work hard so that journalists should be protected and they should be given something. My question is going to the guests in the studio. How are you dealing with issues of threatening the journalists in the country? Because they have been threatening, someone can get a very good information to tell the public so that this thing cannot continue, but is afraid of his or her own life. When you speak about it, then it is really in danger. How are you addressing those things?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Simple Man. I read you.
Good evening, Madrama.
Good evening, Diande.
Thank you. My greeting to the guests who are in the studio.
Thank you.
And actually, I'm one of the citizens who love journalism, though I'm not journalist. And also, I love journalists. People who have managed to be journalists, I love them because they're like soldiers. You know, when you go to the military field to be trained to be a soldier, you have already chosen to defend your country. You have already vowed to protect your country and fight for. This is the same work journalists are doing. You know, some people are not journalists because they don't know what role they are playing, and that need another awareness. For people to understand what journalists do. Journalists are the real people who are actually fighting for the country.
Thank you.
Sharing information, giving information, distributing information, being ready for a threat, being ready for intimidation and abuse, harassment, all these things are happening to journalists. Even they are more brave than soldiers, I'm telling you, because the challenges they face, no one is facing.
Thank you. So what's your question?
I am in solidarity with the journalists. I am saying happy day for union of, for journalists. The regional day for journalists.
Well,
now, as my sister put it, there is this brown envelope things. You know, I want to say that actually, yes, being individual journalists it is good that your brother is giving you something. But you know your ethics, you have ethics, you know what you are doing is like being in a medical field, like being a nurse in the hospital or midwife or medical doctor, you know, it is also, you don't need to be bribed. There is a situation like as my sister put it before, you know, you guys now there's no planning. But if journalists are like, you don't need something, I think it is more burden. So we need also, journalists need support to be helped.
Thank you.
And I think this is what I want to ask the guests in the studio. In case you have gone and in a certain, you want to cover a certain event, but you have no car, no pocket money, but somebody wants to deliver you, I think this is not a crime. Another thing, if you have somebody, your brother, or even a politician, he have money, but you see that you are struggling, your family are struggling, he knows your family, I think individually he want to give you, and you accepted it, I think you cannot take them as a bribe, but you take them as money to help yourself, but you have ethics.
Thank you.
So in this situation, what do you think journalists can do?
Thank you.
That's my first question. The second question is, yes, in the morning I asked the same question, but I need to repeat. The issue of information. You know, information, there are information that you need to take from politicians, there are information that you need to take from government. But also citizens need to be given a chance to express this point, and also because there is a situation that I need to speak about certain things.
Yeah,
but
so
if you get that journalist don't want to take that thing to me.
Yes.
So what do you think a citizen can do? Because there are those citizens who have information and also have opinion about the affairs, but you get that, no, you are not given a chance to say that. What do you think that can be done?
Thank you. Thank you. My guest will definitely answer your question. Hi, Radio.
Madrama, James, good evening.
Good evening, James Dwar.
Thank you. My greeting to the guests in the studio, and I have two questions to the guests in the studio.
Go ahead.
One is the humiliation that is always done to the journalist. And example is recent press statement of the government minister or press, how do you call information minister of the current government. When people were making inquiry, then it was like really embarrassing people and seem intimidating. What can be done to such a government official? Because he's the one connected with media outlet, but he's trying to intimidate the journalist. What can be done to such a person if there are laws? Second, journalists sometimes fear of their life because there are security agents of individuals, because people are not working now for the welfare of nation or even welfare of citizens. They don't want information to be read out by the journalist in any media outlet because they don't want that person to be in bad image. And with such a scenario, how should we really value this press freedom or press speeches to the public as well as the media outlet? Because it has been obvious we are celebrating it and there are no changes. Though there are no people being arrested, it's just that they are controlled, they don't announce the strategic information to the public. What can be done in such a situation?
Thank you very much. Let's travel to Bor now. Hi, Radio.
Hi, Radio.
Community advisor.
Yes, me, community advisor from Bor.
You're welcome.
Let me welcome the guest in the studio, Alfred and my sister, and the presenter of today.
Thank you.
My question is very simple. We, the people of South Sudan, we are suffering from one common disease.
What is that?
The new thing come up today, we go with it. We, the people of South Sudan, we are all journalists. If you got something today, you write and you send, because we have all smartphones, we have all medias, we send it, which that information is not carried out and is not verified, and it will be pulled later. What advice can you give it to all journalists of South Sudan who usually claim to be journalists and they are not journalists because they were not passed through the school of journalism?
Thank you.
What advice can you give it to them?
Thank you on
Number two.
sharing full information. So a statement. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, radio. Well, at this time we are giving chance to only one lucky and last caller, and let me talk to this radio.
Yes, hello, I ready.
Naam, Oporoda.
Yeah, this is Oporoda.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, my question goes to our sister, Irene.
Mm.
She talked very good on the hell of journalism, especially in the area of how they can get their treatment, the insurance.
Mm.
I know all the journalists, they are working with various institutions like iRadio, Raya. She was saying they want to make it an institution for journalists and a place where they can get their insurance. Why not to give pressure to the individual institution employing those journalism to get their insurance? Because we lost so many journalists, and journalists, they die.
That's only in DC alone.
Sickness. Why not to give pressure to the company employing those journalists let them keep special care for although they have been paid less, as I've been hearing.
Thank you. Les, of course, started from where Proda left as umbrella for all these media houses. Why are you not giving pressure to some of these media managers to make sure that there's health insurance for the journalists? We are remaining with only 4 minutes, and it's time now for you to respond to those questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I will start with the last question. What I said before is a plan that the Union of Journalists have. As you know, that the Union of Journalists is a trade union, so they are in charge of welfare and safety of journalists. So they are doing it for their members. So those who are going to subscribe to be members of the union, and also if they buy the idea of contributing for medical insurance, so that is the plan that is going to be implemented for them. But this does not mean that the media houses should not also have a plan for medical insurance. I know that maybe currently it is going to be a challenge for some of the media houses that used to really get support. I know that maybe they used to have some kind of program for medical insurance. But of course, we know that in South Sudan, we have community media that get support, and we have also commercial media. So that suggestion is good. Since AMDIS is an umbrella, we may need to carry on the discussion with various media houses and see whether this is possible with the current challenges. Let me answer also other questions that were raised to me. The issue of freedom of expression. Somebody has asked, how can AMDIS convince the government? We don't need to convince the government. This is a right of the citizen, which is stipulated in the Constitution of South Sudan, that everyone has the right to freedom of expression. But only that people have to exercise their right to freedom of expression responsibly. We have had the issue of hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation. Those are the things that we are discouraging as AMDIS. But if somebody is able to express themselves responsibly, why not? They are given that right by the Constitution of South Sudan. And then I want to also respond to the concern that some journalists do not give citizens the chance to express themselves. They don't want to interview citizens, those who have information to disclose. I think this is not in journalism. As a journalist, yesterday I was giving a remark during a 2 days training of journalists, and I encourage journalists actually to go deep in the grassroots and interview citizens, ordinary people, because South Sudan is not all about the leaders only. I see a lot of journalists talking, interviewing only leaders, but I think journalism should also pay attention to what people say. What do people say? So people have the right to also be interviewed by journalists. Thank you.
All right. Over to you, Taban, on issues of false statement or information, and at the same time threats to journalists. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I have seen a concern from one of the callers, which is more of like the threats to journalists. And then most times the threats to journalists can be arising in different corners. It can be related to the conduct of that individual journalist. And that is individual attitude, which is not considered to be ethical. That is one. And secondly, it can be also because of the stress maybe that source might be having in that office that could even make the source to speak in an arrogant manner. But of course, in reality, all of us have different guidelines in our institutions. If you're working as a public relation officer, you will be talking good about your institution, which is very challenging for journalists to change your shape in any way. Like, for instance, if someone is to talk about a certain institution, the person will be talking about the positive part of that institution, which is different to an independent freelance journalist that needs both sides. And this is in connection to the last statement from my colleague related to balancing of information. Now, are citizens' views also brought in any story? Because sometimes you can also just be talking about the official, one-sided story. What about the other side of the story? Which is now going, and it is actually affecting